A month ago, Valencia appeared on my show after her kids accused her mother's husband, Charlie, of holding a gun to their heads and touching them inappropriately. And Valencia also believed that her mother, Nicole, allowed this to happen. It all started after Valencia's child drew a disturbing picture of a bad person. Take a look.
Nicole came into the house. She said, "You might want to sit down. I got something to tell you." The first story was I supposedly held a gun to the kid's head or something, and I sexually molested him while Nicole watched. That's pretty, that's pretty direct for a child to go home and tell their mom something that graphic. And then it was, I molested all three, and then later on, it was just that I molested the little girl.
So she said, Pop Charlie. So I said, well, what about Pop Charlie? She said, he hurt me. I said, well, hurt you how? She said he touched her in her private area.
Well, Charlie passed his lie detector test, and with that result, Nicole and Charlie hoped that Valencia would allow them to see the kids after the show. But Valencia says that is not happening because as soon as she got home, her daughter was saying that her grandma is actually the bad person. Take a look.
Came to the show and we cleared our name. I passed the test. My wife passed the test, and when we went home, we thought like that would be the, the end of these accusations. But now my wife is being accused now. I don't know where it came from, but now she's being accused of touching her grandchildren.
Valencia, you were here just over a month ago.
Yeah.
How have things been since you were here?
Well, when I went home, I thought everything was done with. I didn't think nothing happened to my daughter, But I had asked her, why did she say Charlie touched her when he didn't? That she can't make accusations like that up. We could have got somebody in trouble. But I'm like, why would my daughter say that? Like somebody had to say it. I didn't. For a fact, I passed my lie detector test. They used to call my mom Nook Nook. So she said Nook Nook told her. This is only my daughter right here, Steve. Listen, I'm not putting nothing in these kids' head.
All right, well, let's bring your mother out and let's get to the bottom of this. The last time you were here, the allegations were that your grandchildren said that Charlie had pointed a gun to their heads and molested them. She took a lie detector test and passed. You took a lie detector test and passed if you were allowing Charlie to do that. And Charlie took a lie detector test and he passed that. He didn't do any of this. Then the show's over, she goes home, and her daughter, your granddaughter says, Grandma did it, and Grandma told me to say that Charlie did it. What's your response to that?
My whole insides were just fluttering. When I got the call from one of your workers, I thought they would just call me and tell me what time the show was coming on, which I already knew. Then he said, well, we need you to come back to the show, and I'm like, what, for what? When he told me, my heart just dropped. I couldn't believe, I thought he was joking, to be honest. So after I talked to my husband and a lot of prayer, because that's what's keeping me, together, the prayer that I do with my husband and everything, we agreed to come on because, I don't want to be somewhere, right, Steve, and somebody bust me upside the head for being a child molester when I know I'm not.
Right. What do you want to say to your daughter?
It's really, she said I'm dead to her. Let me be dead to you. Just take care of them kids, because I love them.
But don't you want to have a relationship with your daughter?
Listen, Steve.
Steve, I don't think that ever happened.
It's been so much.
Why don't you talk to each other right now?
I don't want to talk to it, Steve, because I expressed myself on a comment like she discussed, right? And first she texted my husband. They never text my husband, called my husband or nothing. But you're gonna text my husband. No, you don't do that. You come to me.
So you're saying you're done with the relationship with your daughter?
I'm done.
All right, your husband Charlie is also back today. Let's bring him out. You were here just about a month ago. Now you're back again. You cleared your name.
Right.
Horrible allegations against you the last time you were here.
Right.
Having a hang-on to a child's head, molesting them. You passed. But then, when Valencia gets home, she asks her daughter says, no, it wasn't Charlie, it was my grandmother that touched me, and she told me to say that Charlie did it. What do you think about that?
I really, me personally, I was distraught when I heard it because I truly know how my wife feels about her grandchildren. And,
But Charlie, I had to ask, I had to ask, please? Why would she say, why would she say it was him when he didn't do it?
Steve?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, well, anyway, long story short, I was flabbergasted because I know how Nicole feels about her grandchildren. Since day one, I've met Nicole.
Okay. Hassan couldn't be here today, but he's joining us now through VCC. Hey, Hassan, there are many people that watch the show, and they were wondering why you weren't tested. But you're not able to come because of some legal restrictions, right?
Exactly, Steve.
Are you doing, so I'm gonna point blank you here, are you doing anything to your daughter?
Absolutely not, Steve. That's my only child, my only female child. I have 7 kids. You know what I mean? She's the 5th one. I love her to death, man. She loved me.
Valencia came here and took another lie detector test, and we asked her, did your daughter tell you that Nook Nook touched her private area? And we've established that Nook Nook is Nicole.
What they called her.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So did your daughter tell you that Nook Nook touched her private area? You answered yes. Did you coach your daughter to accuse your mother of touching her private area? You answered no. Do you know if Hassan coached your daughter to accuse anyone of touching her private area? You answered no. The results came back the same to each one of those 3 questions, and it came back that Valencia told the truth. I mean, it is concerning.
My daughter
You keep coming taking tests, and you keep passing.
Yeah.
These kids are telling you something, so I have to imagine
It from somewhere.
something is happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Nicole came here and took a lie detector test, and we asked her, did you ever touch your granddaughter for your own sexual pleasure or gratification? Nicole answered no. Did you ever touch your grandson for your own sexual pleasure or gratification? You answered no. The results came back the same to each of those 2 questions, and it came back that Nicole told the truth.
Thank you. I would never, ever touch those kids. I would die for them. And my concern is now that they dug up my behind and my husband's behind, that we were accused of touching those kids. Now I'm gonna dig to see who's really touching them. Because obviously somebody's touching them kids and it's not me. I would never do that to you or them. Never.
Has the police ever interviewed your children?
They did when it first happened, when I first
But I mean, was it just like a patrolman, a detective, or was it somebody that is trained to,
It was just regular police officers.
Right, so, and I've done that a million times too.
Yeah.
Talk to kids, but I never felt really comfortable, even myself as, an investigator, I felt more comfortable talking to adults than I did children. And there's people within law enforcement or even therapists that I think maybe you need to bring your children to and have somebody who has a really background with talking with children to find out if anything's happening. Listen, I hope you go home and you get to the bottom of it, one way or the other, and let's all hope that nothing's happening.
We're praying for the best.
Yeah, but I would say this. Just as a person who values family a lot, right? I hope that you all can move past this and be a family. And I only say this, Valencia, because I had my grandmother and my grandfather every day of my life. We all lived in the same building. And it just was huge, the impact on me growing up. And even to this day, I think about them and what they did for me. And whatever you choose to do, that's your business. Your mom, you get to call the shots. But I think it's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing when we can have family in life. And I'm just saying, I hope you guys can move past this.